It's the banhammer heard around the world. Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Crypt, and Nadu Winged Wisdom are banned from the Commander format. Let's monkey around. To get the big questions out of the way first, do I like the bans? No, I don't like the bans, but do I understand why they were banned? Yeah, of course. And I totally get the rules committee reasoning. They want to extend the length of a game, and things like Crypt or Jeweled Lotus are pretty antithetical to making that happen. I'm less interested in diving deep into the reasoning the rules committee had for banning these cards, but more interested in diving into what this means for the future of the format. The first thing is that the rules committee is alive. It's been 3 years since they've made any decision. In 2021, they banned Golos and unbanned Worldfire, that spell from the meme with the Cruel Claw, the Rakdos commander in Bloomborough. Honestly, at this point, there's so many players that have joined the format that maybe didn't even know the rules committee existed. I feel it's for the best. I kind of just want to say it. The rules committee, they're people too. They have lives, they're trying their best. Don't go harass them on social media if you disagree with their decision. Voice yourself on different social media platforms that you engage in, on different forums, talk to your friends about it. Totally understandable. Just leave them out of it. They're doing their best to make the format what they think is best for everyone. The next thing it means is a possible shaking up of consumer confidence. And by shaking up, I mean a reduction in consumer confidence in the product. Crypt and Jeweled Lotus were reprinted, within 16 months ago in LCI for Crypt and Commander Masters for Jeweled Lotus. Despite not engaging in the highest power of Commander play with really any frequency, I'm still a little bit shaken up about these bans. I just have to be fully transparent about that. These cards cost a lot of money. People are getting them to put in their decks, in their CEDH decks, or just their super high powered streamlined decks that they play with their friends. And to see them just flat out get banned, I understand where that's coming from, that apprehension at, the rules committee. So I do get that. Do I think it'll have a long-term effect, though? I really don't see that happening. There's already a robust community to find proxies. There's plenty of places where you can get proxies already. It's alive and well, the proxy community. There's going to be more people probably entering into that world, but there's also a lot of, dopamine junkies, adrenaline junkies that love to crack packs, and I think this is going to pass for better or worse. I think a big takeaway that we can take from this ban wave is that the rules committee is still committed to the Commander format as a whole, and they're not really considering the CEDH players really at all. I don't engage in that format very much. I've played a handful of games. From what I know, they just love to do busted stuff as fast as possible, just with whatever cards are available. I'm not sure they're going to be all that happy about these cards being gone, outside of the prospect of, brewing different decks, seeing what else, can come through in the meta, which is kind of a different conversation. But I think we can firmly say that CEDH is not really a consideration at all. I think maybe the biggest question everyone has is if this is going to create a whole new ban wave in the next year or two. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I think we're going to see some more bans coming through. From what I can tell, and it's only been a day and a half as I record this, is that the community is either apathetic or happy about seeing these bans. And if the rules committee, sees this through, the philosophy that they used to arrive at this decision, there's other cards that meet that criteria. Before we get into those, the reason that the rules committee gave is basically they want Commander games to breathe a little bit. they don't want them to be over turn 3 or 4 in a casual setting by, blasting out your Mana Crypt, coming to an insurmountable lead. The reason they gave for Nadu was different in the exact opposite way. It was taking forever to resolve turns. And at a high-powered level, those folks, they know the combos, they know what to do, they know what to look for. But as a casual player who's trying it out for the first or second time, you could do like a 40-minute turn and then pass. And that doesn't feel good for anybody. So if there is a card that I'm not happy but okay with being banned, it is Nadu, because even in the 99, it can get a little bit weird when you combine it with like a Lightning Greaves that has a 0 mana equip cost, and you're just doing something, you basically have a new commander at that point. But getting to the bans, using the philosophy of the rules committee, I think Thassa's Oracle is in the most danger right now. Or at least the really strong enablers like Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact. I feel like most people are familiar with Thassa's Oracle right now, but she is just famous for entering the battlefield under certain conditions that Demonic Consultation and the Tainted Pacts of the world just, necessarily give you. It gives you the win when it enters, and it's also not the most satisfying win for everybody. It kind of comes out of nowhere. There's limited interaction that you can do. I think she's in trouble. Lion's Eye Diamond is the other one that I think is kind of in the danger zone. It's got a far worse downside than Mana Crypt, which, pings you for a little bit of damage, because Lion's Eye Diamond makes you discard your whole hand. But then again, it's kind of an upside with all of the lines that Lion's Eye Diamond is running, through the breach, Underworld Breach is what I was thinking of. This one has the upside of being like a very expensive card that not a lot of people have, so I'm not sure if that is influencing the rules committee's decisions, but it's fast. 3 mana for 0 is a lot. The Underworld Breaches of the world, with the Brain Freeze combo, it just wins games out of nowhere if there's no response. I think it's on the chopping block. On the flip side, there's Krark the Thumbless, who exists in a similar space as Nadu. Like a Dirtle Lord, just sitting there flipping coins and sometimes winning the game, and then sometimes sheepishly passing the turn after taking 10 or 20 or 30 minutes. I think, of the 3 that I talked about, it's probably the least likely to get banned, but it fits into that Nadu category, so I'd be on the lookout for it. What is seemingly not at risk are the quote-unquote toxic spells like Drannith Magistrate or Opposition Agent. These are also super impactful, low mana plays that you can make, but they also kind of extend games. They stop your opponents from doing things, and they're pretty answerable. So like I said before, the community at large looks to be fine with these bans, and when the dust settles, I don't think that's going to change. I guess the call that I'll make here is I wouldn't be surprised if Thoracle is banned by this time next year. In terms of money, losing value on your cards sucks. If you bought 1 or 2 of these cards in the last year or two, I think you're well within your rights to feel some type of way about these bans. It's, these are, $100 cards. That's a pretty penny for basically everybody, right? It's especially tough because these are so focused in the Commander format. So I just want to let you know, if you're pissed that you lost a lot of money on these cards, you bought them like 3 months ago, I feel for you. It's really, really shitty. On the other hand, if you were investing in these cards, I do also feel for you. It sucks that you lost all your money, but you're also investing in a card game. It just is part of the cycle of investment. You knew the risks, you knew the rewards, and you got the bad end of the stick this time around. Moving on now, the fact is, these spells are awesome to play when everyone in the pod has them or has an equivalent deck that can match the speed and power of them. Whether it's in person or online, everyone gets to pop off, no one is surprised by a turn 1 Dockside. The problem is that not everyone has a consistent pod that they can play with, and Magic is a game for all ages. When a father of 2 finally gets back to the LGS for the first time in a year, or a 15-year-old kid finally saved up enough money for a spell table setup, and they get to a table with 3 other players that have, quote unquote, upgraded precons, only to get rolled on turn 4 by a mana crypt into Jeweled Lotus and then, whatever after that, it's a really bad experience. Not in a suck it up, don't be salty kind of way, but in a why should I engage more time and money into a hobby that fosters a community like this kind of way. And when it comes down to it, what that ultimately is a failing of Rule 0, because Rule 0 can't account for liars. There are some social pressures that can reduce the rate at which this happens, but this was happening and this was going to continue to happen. When I look at it like that, I go back to the beginning of the video of, do I understand the bans even though I don't agree with them? Yeah, I do. That's really not the kind of community you want to see, and the Rules Committee is dedicated to try and bring out the best way to play Commander for everybody. So it's time for a little self-reflection. If that game sounds like you when you're winning, and there's also no prize support on the line, I'm of the opinion that, for better or worse, the ban lies solely on your shoulders. You're the reason we don't get to have nice things. Okay, so this was way more off the cuff than any of my other previous videos, so let me know if you want to see more of this style. Otherwise, I'm getting right back into Duskmorn. We got a standard set to look at. I'm going to first be looking at the best budget singles from the set, and then I'm going to get into a hyper budget upgrade for each of the 4 Commander precons. What hyper budget exactly means is up for debate, but it's basically less than $1 a card that gets replaced in one of those precons. I'd love it if you took a moment right now to subscribe to the channel. After all, it's the easiest way to get a hold of that content that is coming your way very soon. Like the video if you liked the video. Let me know your thoughts on the bans, and I'll catch you next time for some more monkeying around.